What I'd like us to do today is to work on some goal setting related to your own wellness and self-care. Does that feel like an okay topic for us to cover today?
Yeah, that's fine.
So if you remember back to the first time that we met and we talked about the goals of craft, we talked about three different goals. One, that your partner would hopefully reduce or eliminate their substance use. Two, that your partner would accept professional help for their substance use. And the third was that hopefully the things that we do together here in these counseling sessions would help you increase your own well-being, whether or not your partner feels ready for change.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason that I want us to cover this specifically today, is to help you to begin to make some changes that support your own well-being.
Gotcha.
And sometimes people find that when they have a loved one with a substance use problem, that a lot of your attention goes to thinking about their needs and thinking about caring for them. And people often find that they've been neglecting their own needs. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one of the reasons working on this usually feels pretty relevant for people. So I wonder if that's been true for you, that your own self-care is not at the top of your priority list every day.
It's something that I've not really thought about for some time, but I can, now that I'm taking a step back to look at it, I can actually see that, I have been focusing a lot more on being there for my partner.
Sometimes people feel like if we're focusing on your own self-care, that means we're going to forget about your partner's needs or not worry about their well-being. That's not what we're doing at all. We're going to continue to keep your partner's well-being in focus, but we're just adding another aspect here because it's really hard to pour from an empty cup.
That is true. It is very hard to pour from an empty cup. I like how you said that. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'd like us to do. We're going to draw an image here. So on your piece of paper, I'd like you to draw a circle, and then we're going to cut it up like a pie into 8 slices. So I'll draw that for you too and show you what I mean. So we have a 8-slice pie here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, and so we're going to start to label some of these, and I'm just going to label them here on the outside. And this is a self-care wheel. And so I'm going to give you some common things that I find that people put on this, but I want it to be relevant to you specifically. So some common things that people would put on here, we might label one of these exercise or physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Might label one of these quality of sleep or the amount of sleep that you're getting. Another one might be social activities.
Mm-hmm.
Another one might be the romance or the quality of your relationship, or work-life balance, or financial health, or hobbies, or religious participation or prayer. So thinking about the kind of things that might be relevant for you, let's start labeling the pieces of this pie.
Okay. So I think my physical health is very important. I think that being able, in addition to just exercising, which I think I do need to do a little bit more to get myself moving, I do think I also need to pay attention to my diet, what I put into my body, what I'm eating.
Yeah. So should we make these 2 different ones? Should we do exercise, physical health, and then do one that is like diet?
Yeah.
Health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Exercise, diet. I do think I'm getting some good amount of sleep in terms of the amount and the quality.
Yeah. So is it okay? I'm going to make that one of these. You feel like it's going well, so I'm going to put that on one of the pies. Okay.
Okay. So the circle is taking in things that
are important and relevant for your well-being.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So definitely physical exercise, diet, sleep. Sleep is very important. Maintaining connections with with important people in my life, like friends and family.
Yeah. Let's think about those 2. Do you want to do one for active friendships, time with friends, and one for connection with family?
I think we could put them together.
Okay. So I'm going to label one friends and family.
Yeah.
Okay.
I I do think it's also important to have a little bit of adventure, so time for traveling, time for, going to activities. So adventure should be one of them. And under there, I'm thinking like travel, shows, concerts.
I'm going to just call this adventure and fun.
Yeah, adventure and fun.
Okay.
What else?
We have 3 more left.
More left.
Should we put something about your relationship and
yes.
the health of the relationship?
I do think it's very important for me to maintain romance in my relationship.
So we have 2 more left we might think about.
Okay, so I think for me personally, the last 2, I'm gonna have creativity in there. And for me, I tend to express myself through music. So getting more time to play guitar and also like learning new styles. And then finally, my long-term career development.
Okay. So if you've been labeling yours, they don't have to be in the same order, but I've been putting your labels around. So now your chart should look something like this with each category labeled. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to have you color in each of these. So the way that you're going to color this in is if you think about this as a scale from 0 at the center to 10 at the outside, if you felt, for example, with sleep, that you were extremely satisfied with the amount of sleep that you were getting, then you would just color this in all the way until you get to the outer edge.
Okay.
If there was something that you felt really unsatisfied with, it really couldn't be worse, you might leave it totally blank.
Okay.
Usually most people are not at a 0 with anything, but something might feel lower to you. So that each one of these is going to get colored in into some degree. So it might look like this, for example, if you felt mostly satisfied. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to just go around and fill in for each category how satisfied you feel with each of these areas.
Okay. So it's kind of looking something a little bit like this. See it? Wow.
Yep, great. Okay, perfect. So let's take a few minutes. We're going to reflect on some of these. We won't go over every one of them today, but why don't you start by telling me about one that you feel pretty satisfied with? So picking one of the ones you rated the highest. Can you tell me about that one?
Funny enough, sleep. It's kind of weird because, well, I mean, at the same time too, it could also be because it's the start of the semester, but like, being in med school, my schedule and constantly being having exams tends to mess me up. But I think it has to do with the fact that like I wasn't like on a 2-month summer vacation, and then I'm just getting back into the grind of things, and like we have a pretty light load these first 2 weeks. So my sleep is going pretty well.
Okay, wonderful. So let's look at another one that you maybe didn't feel as satisfied with, and we don't have to pick the one that feels worst for you, but you can if you want. We could also pick one that's somewhere in the middle. And I want to pick one that you'd want to talk more about and possibly set a goal with today. So looking at those categories, what feels like it could potentially make a difference to you if things improved?
So I think it would definitely be physical exercise. I can remember back when I was in undergrad and I used to live back in Seattle. I felt like the healthiest that I've ever been in my life. And then, we're transitioning to being on the East Coast and then also being in medical school. It's like, not only do I have less time to be physically active and during the week, but also like, for a significant amount of the year, I can't play outside because it gets so cold. So I have thought about, getting involved in other kinds of activities, but I really don't like going to the gym, and it's like I rarely have time to go out of my way to find new things.
Yeah, so I'm really hearing all the barriers that have been there, that exercise hasn't just naturally occurred for you.
Yes.
So looking at what you marked on the paper you filled out, 0 being at the very bottom and 10 being at the very top, what number do you think you gave yourself?
Maybe about a 4.
Okay. So let's think about this. I want to be not ambitious about the goal setting here because you have a lot on your plate. So if you're at a 4 now, if the next time we spoke, I had you fill this out again and you noticed that you were maybe at a 5 or a 6. So we're not thinking about how to get to a 10 here. What would you notice that would be different when you were at a 5 or a 6 on satisfaction around exercise?
Okay, so specifically for me, because I think for me, the baseline was playing soccer about 3 to 4 times a week back in Seattle.
Was that closer to a 10 for you?
And that was roughly about an 8,
Okay.
And then transitioning, going through the pandemic and then transitioning to the other side of the country. I'm playing maybe like once every like 2 or 3 weeks. And I've also noticed like a decline in my quality of play. So I think, getting to a 5 or a 6 for me would not necessarily be playing more, even though that would be nice. I would probably like to play like, once every week at best. Twice would be great. But during the times that I do get to play, if I'm only playing like once or twice a week, once every 2 weeks, I would really like to be able to play longer, play better. And I've noticed that now, even when there's times when like, there's good weather and it's perfect playing conditions, I'm not as motivated to go do that. And I think a lot of it does have to do with like, that negative feeling that comes like, not looking forward to the after period whereby I'm having all those negative emotions about like, remembering where I used to be.
That when you were at an 8 on this satisfaction scale, you were playing soccer 3 to 4 times a week. Mm-hmm. And now you're at a 4 and you're playing once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like that your guess is that if you were playing once a week, you might find yourself at a 5 or even higher.
I think so too. And I think part of that too is also like, you you don't get better at something by not doing it, so when you're constantly, playing or exercising and stuff like that, you tend to notice the improvement that comes with that consistency. Mm-hmm. So I do think that like if I were to get to a point where I'm playing once or twice every week, I improve in how I felt about it, also because I think that I would notice a visible difference in like the quality of play.
Yes. Yep. So I heard you say once or twice a week, but I wanted to make this goal really reasonable. So let's stick with the once a week. Okay. And if you do twice, then great. That's great. Let's is that okay? We'll stick with once a week as the goal here.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. So I want to think about the week ahead.
Okay.
So reasonably, how would you ensure that you would play soccer sometime in the next 7 days? How is that going to be possible?
In the next 7 days, it's going to be rough. I got an exam coming up. Maybe after that. Okay. So how would I ensure that I play soccer and then after my exam? Let me see. What could I possibly do? Maybe put it into my calendar to give me a reminder, set an alarm, because we typically play pretty early, or the guys who I play with over here, it's pretty early, at 7 in the morning, which is kind of like why it's so hard to play. To set an alarm, way in advance.
So what day is this going to be? So 7 a.m. the Saturday. Day after your exam, is that Saturday?
Yeah.
And are the guys playing on Saturday?
Yeah, they typically play quite consistently, every Saturday.
Okay. So one thing that you can do right now is that you can put it in your phone as an alarm to set your alarm for Saturday morning to make sure you wake up in time for soccer.
Okay, I could definitely do that.
Okay, so let's think about what barriers might come about between now and then.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. So exam is on a Friday, soccer is on a Saturday. I know that the bunch of my classmates are probably going to want to go out and party on Friday after the exam. So we'll see how that goes. So
let's just say if you were really planning for this, if the priority really was the 7 a.m. Saturday soccer, what would you have to do on Friday to make sure that you actually could do that on Saturday?
Well, for one, not drink. Probably be in bed by 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the desire to celebrate the end of the exam felt more rewarding to you than playing soccer on Saturday.
Mhm.
Do the guys play soccer on Sunday?
No, they do not. Um, yeah, so I think that there might be different groups who play on Sunday, but I haven't been able to find any of them. Um, and maybe not go out with all of my classmates and maybe schedule something with the few who I'm really close with to maybe have dinner on
Mhm.
Saturday or Sunday. So yeah, that's probably what I'll most likely end up doing. Because it is because long term, yeah, you can always go to a party or hang out with your classmates. Like there will be other exams and stuff like that. But with playing soccer, like the key is to be consistent. Being consistent, and you kind of have like kind of have to start off realistically and like be and play consistently. So that's more
Mhm.
important, I think.
Mhm. Okay. So thinking about it now that we've discussed it and we've discussed the potential barriers and we've made a couple plans for things you can do now to increase the chance it happens, and thinking about things like motivation and consistency, what do you think the chances are, like on a scale of 0 to 10, that you will play soccer on Saturday?
Chances 0 to 10, I want to say 80. I feel like as of right now, while I'm speaking to you, I'm in a really good headspace. Could anything happen in the near future that could change that? Possibly, but as of right now, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. Okay, great. So this wheel that we filled out today, I'd like it to
Okay.
be a living document for you. So you can keep it, you can refer to it, you can certainly use different color pens if you want to compare how you're doing now with how you're doing in the future. You certainly can engage with this more than we did today. But
Okay.
what we did today was just to pick one slice of this pie and to come up with a goal in the short term with the goal of increasing your satisfaction by just one number. And so
Okay.
if you do this for yourself again, I would recommend you do the same thing. Pick one slice of the pie and ask yourself, what would be different if I were one number higher?
Okay. And I already found this session quite helpful. Do you think we could maybe in a different session in the future, maybe work on a different slice of the pie and then see how we can improve that?
Yes, what I'd like to do is when we meet next time, I'll ask you how this went. And then we can work our way through the rest of this pie if you'd like, coming up with some different goals for different areas of your life.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.